Hello, and welcome back to the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 46. I'm your host, Jake Burke, and joined, as always, by James St. Charles, and usually has a fun nickname, Ted Libby.
Hey, I'm overexposed today.
You are. You look very bright, like almost like angelic.
I think, are you streaming from heaven?
Jesus, I would hate if Ted got into heaven and I didn't.
That's telling my Twitch stream.
Streaming from heaven.
I would sell my spot, I think.
In heaven?
Yeah, for like a...
You'd sell it?
Yeah, I think I would... Like, I'd get a good deal.
How much would you? How much would you sell it for? Like price
in terms of like human dollars?
Yeah, in terms of the U.S. dollar.
I'd probably want to plan it.
Oh.
Yeah, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, if like all religions are on the playing field, I'll take a planet to myself.
I'll do the Mormon route.
Yeah, but
I'll
not
sell you Mars.
Officially. Like I'll trade my way in there.
Right. I'm not doing the stuff. I just want the end result.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I'm really glad we're talking about religion because this is the 46th episode of the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, where every Monday morning a new episode goes live on YouTube.com, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Once a week, we sit down and chat across 500 miles to talk about a gaming-related topic and what games we have been playing. Our main topic today is the fall of Google Stadia. Is it dead on arrival? Kinda, because it's only been a year. If you enjoy the show, remember to subscribe, like, and maybe leave a comment. And please, for the love of God, tell your mother. I know some of you are doing it, and I'm very happy about it.
Yes.
If your mother's name is Marie or Maria, leave a comment. Let us know.
And it's a good Valentine's Day gift.
Oh my
Let her
God.
know. She can come in. And
Happy Valentine's Day,
you guys can watch a podcast together.
Happy Valentine's Day. What's your favorite video game love relationship? I just want to know that off the top of your head. You got any of them?
Video game love relationship.
They're not common, and when they are, they're not good.
That's very true. It's very
Why
true.
aren't they common now? I think about it. It's like there's interest. There's so many love interests.
Can I just say super giant games?
Yes. Is that your favorite love? Is that your video game love?
Yeah, just any one of those.
Yeah.
Witcher.
They seem to do it all right.
Witcher did good. Yeah, Nate Drake and Elena from Uncharted. They got a good little romance. They get married. They have a child. Spoilers. Yeah, the game came out in 2016. Whatever.
Yeah, it's past the spoiler.
Marcus Phoenix and Dominic Santiago.
Oh, they had a good
story.
relationship.
Yeah.
That was a tough. Okay, I won't spoil anything there because that's a.
Master Chief and Cortana before Cortana became evil.
There we go. That's a good relationship there.
Yep. They had a good little. They like did weird shit when she was plugged into his head. You know it.
Cybered.
They cybered. All right. Enough about video game sex relationships. I want to talk to you guys about Google Stadia. A thing that really, I think, really puts fucking in the name because it fucked up. Now, I'm going to read a little timeline of Google Stadia and then we'll discuss, and feel free to jump in whenever we go through the timeline. Google Stadia was announced in October 2018 and soon after opened up invitations to beta testers with access to Assassin's Creed Odyssey playable through Google Chrome. It was not named Google Stadia at this point. It was just Google's streaming platform. They kind of build themselves on being playable exclusively on a web browser wherever you are or a Chromecast on your TV. They would eventually reveal that it's only certain Chromecasts on certain TVs. Stadia was formally announced during a Google keynote address at the 2019 Game Developers Conference in March 2019, which we were podcasting at this time, correct, James?
Yes, we were.
Yeah, and I think we talked about Google Stadia.
I think we did. I think we did not have kind things to say.
I was intrigued, but very nervous.
You were intrigued. Yeah, you were probably more like, this is a good thing. And I was more like...
I think the tech is interesting, but of course you have to really back it up and put your money where your mouth is. And Stadia launched on November 19th, 2019 in 14 countries. Its launch lineup, personally, and I think critically, was kind of abysmal. There was not a lot of new games on there. Their headliners were like the old Tomb Raider games from Crystal Dynamics, Rise of the Tomb Raider and Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. So nothing substantially meaty, and a few little indies that were exclusive.
Was Destiny 2 an exclusive?
That was also on there, right?
I think it launched, yeah.
Or not exclusive, but like a release launch, excuse me.
And the Founders Pack was free.
Yeah.
That's what...
Google Stadia users were required to purchase games to use over the service, though it does offer a growing library of free games that can be redeemed by Pro tier subscribers, as well as the first 2 years of Destiny 2 content for free for those who purchase the Founders Pack. Alongside Google Stadia, Google established the Stadia Games and Entertainment division in March 2019, with industry vet Jade Raymond, best known for the Ubisoft Toronto and Motive founder, as its head. This division focused on the internal development of games for Stadia in addition to those that they have obtained from third parties. The first studio was established in Montreal on October 24th, 2019. Google shut that. So this is now why we're talking about this is because of what happened on February 1st this year. Google shut down Stadia Games and Entertainment on February 1st, 2021. So it was open for less than a year and a half. The announcement came after decisions were made about Stadia's priorities for gaming development and delivery. Harrison stated, and I believe, sorry, I didn't put his name, but Harrison was an industry analyst. Harrison stated that the decision would focus on making the platform more amendable as a publishing platform for third-party developers, stating, "We believe this is the best path to building Stadia into the long term. Sustainable business that helps grow the industry." The shutdown affected about 150 employees, including Raymond, who left Google that day. Sean Hollister of The Verge suggested that the shutdown may have been triggered by the release of Cyberpunk 2077 on Stadia, which he described as a make-or-break moment for the service. Note, apparently Cyberpunk 2077 ran extremely well on Stadia. Like, that is apparently it did.
But
so they just got screwed by the game.
Yeah, but the game bad press.
Wow.
With the shutdown, Hollister suggested that this may be a change of direction for Stadia into a white label platform that Google could license out game publishers for things like instant game demos, and in the same manner that NVIDIA has done with its GeForce streaming solutions. So, that's kind of the notes I have on it. I want to talk to you boys. Google Stadia. Is it dead forever?
I just don't see how you come back. There's just too much money that was in it, and then they have like so much competition now. And they're just going to excel because now everyone's going to go to like another service, whether it's NVIDIA's or Xbox's or
xCloud.
Yeah, the platform Google Stadia will die.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to hear people playing Google Stadia games necessarily. Google might sell this service, and it might kind of get wrapped into game streaming kind of under the hood, but I don't think you're going to hear about, new on Stadia or what the kids are playing on Stadia.
What they should shift though to, if they want to recover, have their servers work with the other services. Which the problem is, it's like most of them have their own, except for NVIDIA, I don't think. But Microsoft's using Azure; they're using their own, and then someone else is probably using Amazon services.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I was Google, I'd position myself to like work with one of these services.
Like work with
Sony. We have servers.
Most likely, what they'll do, they're not
to
just
recover.
Cut it and run necessarily.
Yeah, I was like, if you cut it and run, you just there's so much stuff that was just lost there.
What happened with Google Glass? Did Google Glass, is it just dead? Like they're not making Google Glass?
Yeah, they scrapped that.
Yeah, they scrapped
it. So
it,
Google has a tendency to like start a project and like put a ton of money behind it with big marketing and then just drop it when they just like don't think tangible success.
Yeah, it's very common in industry. Like there'll be like 10-year, decade-long projects that'll just get scrapped because it's just not point. And then it happens with games, we know, because the game's been worked on for so long and they're like scrap it.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably had progress, but it's not like for a year and a half. I mean, that's pretty good. It could have gone longer and like that would have sucked more, but at least they knew like, yeah, we're not going to be able to like keep this going.
Stadia wasn't for anybody necessarily. That's kind of the problem with it, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to talk about.
Who knew about it probably had a system that could do the things that Stadia was offering.
Yeah.
The only way Stadia would fit itself into a marketplace is by providing games that people who don't have a computer or a console, or in this case like a phone anymore, they just don't have it, but they still want to play video games. I think that's kind of the space for it. Which is weird.
The thing that you were kind of talking about is it wasn't meant for anybody. It was very like when they announced Google Stadia, it was very like it kind of for me it was exciting because like okay, this is a new direction that gaming could go in. Let's see what happens.
And for the record, that beta test with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, people liked it. It was functional, and I don't think at any point was Google Stadia. It wasn't what they promised, but it also was functional.
Yeah, I think that's a thing.
The first time a gaming cloud service has worked.
I think that's kind of a thing where like everyone that I know, like personally in my life that has played Stadia, which I have not touched Stadia, but they're like, it actually like surprisingly works very well. Similar to like how I felt with xCloud when I like went up to Sacramento to Maddie's house and like was in her parents' house and I was like, I'm going to play Madden on my phone. And I was like, holy crap, this just works. Like, this is crazy. But I think the big marketing push in the beginning was, this is like the gamer's next place to come because you can do it anywhere. And the games that we have in our lineup are so exciting for you. They're all these games from 3 years ago that you've probably already played.
Yeah.
So if you love Rise of the Tomb Raider, this is the service for you because Google Stadia launched with like 6 games.
Yeah.
Like 6 AAA games.
I don't know how you can launch with so little titles.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
they needed something big. Like if they need like big land, like studio,
Well,
they needed to like contact studios and be like,
they
hey, we'd like
they
to buy
could
your
have
catalog
done
and have it on our.
a soft rollout, slowly and less under the hood, and kind of gotten Google Stadia.
Roadmaps?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they could have gotten Google Stadia into smart TVs and kind of into just things people have, and given and slowly gotten
Yeah.
games that just people who don't play games would probably play. Sports games, racing games. These things that if you have a smart TV and you're just Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Stadia, click it. Oh wow, basketball's on here. Click it.
Yeah.
Done. Good to
Well,
go.
The thing there too is that I think a big thing that xCloud right now has a much different grasp than Google Stadia is on xCloud. You use xCloud if you have Game Pass. So like you have a ton of games that you can just scroll through and like, you know what, I do want to try a Plague Tale Innocence. I should try that out here on this.
Yeah.
Where Google Stadia was, okay, you can come in, we'll give you one free game, but you got to buy all these games again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buying the
Like-
games too is just
The
like
fact that you had to purchase them was
dang.
Yeah.
didn't seem smart. And this was during Game Pass's like rise to power.
Yeah, like Game Pass is
Like-
coming out. They should have been a competitor.
Yeah, everyone was talking about this new subscription service in gaming, and then we have a streaming service that's like, no, you buy them, and they're
Yeah.
all games that you've probably bought before.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the two reasons I would have gotten this for me and what I like to play was Mortal Kombat, which I had
Mhm.
already owned and already beaten, already played, and already kind of moved on from. And the other thing was Destiny, and not
Yeah,
because I play Destiny, but it would be a neat thing to just, if I was into Destiny, I could pop it up on a Chromebook if I was
Yep.
traveling, or just pop it up on the TV. You know, it could just be my multiplayer-ish kind of live service game would just be anywhere with me,
Yeah.
and that made total sense. And
And
You
now
know,
you can
that-
do that on Game Pass and xCloud.
exactly,
so it's like-
now more like infused structures already have it, and I don't need Stadia.
Right. I mean, also the thing that for me is still mind blowing is we talked about, you know, it was going to be revealed on all Google Chromecasts. And then they were like, actually, it's only the Google Chromecast Ultras or whatever they were called.
Yeah.
I own
remember
it.
that.
I have a Google TV plugged into my TV that just came out like the end of last year. And it does not have Stadia capabilities.
That's the one thing I'm actually, if there's anything to be upset about here, it's that they never actually rolled it out properly, and
No.
now they're cutting it. And
Yeah.
it feels like they didn't give it its time of day before they decided it wasn't worth it, because it was never really accessible.
Yeah.
It was, like you said, on some things, but not all things, which when you're dealing with something like this, if it's that confusing already, a lot of people are already out.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of like a console launch of like right now the PS5 is launched and they got like 3 PS5 exclusives, but really like I'm going back and just playing the back catalog on PS5. And but I know that the promise of Sony, because I know Sony and they're an established like company that in this space, they're gonna give me these exclusives and these games that I want. Where Stadia is such an unproven thing where you're like, do I really trust Google to like pull out these great games? Hence why they got Jade Raymond, who's a big name in the industry. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
They could have developed this more of the service and less of a console, and just kind of had this background service ready to sell it to people. They could have targeted it at a completely different market in a completely different way. And they just chose to kind of take it all while they could, and nobody wanted it.
It should have been Netflix for games.
It should have been Netflix for games. And instead it was not quite as good a games for games.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It was like new
that's
tech
the other
for
thing.
old games.
I think an important selling point that I was curious about, because I was very cynical, game streaming services have never worked before, is that your game would be played on a Google server somewhere in the world that was powerful enough to have the awesomest, bestest, coolest graphics
Yeah.
piped into your screen easily.
Mhm.
You know, I think they talked about negative latency or something stupid like that.
Yeah, I think they
But it
came
was
up with
this
a
idea
term.
that like, hey, current gamers with your PCs and your Xbox Ones, if you get Stadia, it will be better from day one. And it will always be better, because we will always be able to provide like ultra level graphics. And that never happened. I think a bunch of people did tests over the months that this was out, and I think it got up to medium and high. It was kind of the best it ever got.
You never got optimal.
Which is, again, functional, but not what they promised.
Yeah. And when you're competing in an already established space with like Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, and Valve, you're like, you have to do something really unique. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to be smarter about a lot of this, and it doesn't sound like they were. And now we have an entire games division. What 150 employees were just laid off.
Yeah.
Who
Just
are all
cut.
developing, Stadia exclusive games.
Stadia,
that will
for less than a year and a half. Like, see, they had no
Yeah.
time to
Yeah,
get
so
a game out.
nothing was
Yeah, it
probably
seemed like
made.
I'm
Yeah.
sitting here in a desk chair, and I seem to know more about the video game industry than some of these people at Google do.
Well, it's
Um,
it's obviously a leadership thing. Was something went off there, like, because I feel like if I was in that position, I'd be like, okay, right away, we are like in the red. We need to like figure out what are we gonna do for marketing.
Yeah.
How are we gonna work with our publishers? Like, who's our market here? Like, that wasn't clear at all, and it seemed like nothing was being done. Like, you heard nothing about like Stadia is working with Bethesda. Stadia's gonna work with this. So it was just like, yeah, this game's coming out. This game's coming out.
Yeah, and
What?
every game that was
Okay.
coming out was old. Like, it wasn't like
Yeah,
an
it was just like, oh, okay. And then
Yeah.
you hear Game Pass is like, got this, Game Pass got this, and then you have Steam and Epic Game Store just like also like destroying with like free games. So stuff that like Epic's doing is like pretty good with competition, and
Yeah.
they've been surviving, and they're probably going to survive for a long time because of what they're doing.
Yeah.
But Google came in too soft,
Well,
and
they came in too soft, and then like we were talking about with games, like they weren't even the big third-party games that were launching everywhere was always like, and eventually it's coming to Stadia, and so you're like, so I'm gonna wait 6 months to play a game that came out on my console that I have on my TV just to play it on, like, no.
well, again, that works in a marketplace where somebody doesn't care.
Yeah,
And there are plenty of people who don't care, who walk into GameStop and go, I don't know what's good, and they get a game
Gamers
from 6
care,
months
though.
ago. Yeah, and so this is like a game system not for gamers,
Mhm.
marketed to gamers, and it never really made sense. I always thought, kind of what I said earlier, this would eventually take the spot of like a frat guy is watching a football game, and then goes on and then notices Stadia and is like, oh, I can play Madden on
Oh.
here, and just kind of easy clicks like that.
yeah,
Or like a dad is like, oh, racing, and he's like, but it just never came to fruition.
right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just
And so may it rest in peace.
yeah. So it is
May it
dead.
die.
I want to know your prediction. How much longer until we hear that servers are being shut off for Google Stadia, like public servers?
Oof.
That takes a while, so
Yeah.
it might be like
Well,
half a year.
I mean, they would literally screw people who gave them money if they did that.
Well,
It kinda
And
are
that would
now.
definitely
there's
suck.
no
I think
support.
I think you will hear that literally 0 people are playing Stadia before servers are shut down.
Hmm.
Like they'll do it,
Yeah,
Maybe.
but they won't. You're not going to hear about Google shuts down Stadia and dozens of people
Yeah.
are mad.
yeah.
It's gonna be
You know,
slow
um,
rollout, and then they
yeah,
may
from-
refund. I don't know.
From
Yeah.
what I understand, their number counts were abysmally low.
right away.
Like even now, yeah.
They didn't
And
sell
that-
out their Founders Pack pre-orders,
Yeah.
Wow.
which is crazy. I do think that what that guy from The Verge, Matt Hollister, said was like, that's an interesting concept of this being almost run as like a demo thing for the games press. Like that's like how
Yeah.
they do it. And like with people
Yeah.
working remote, this is a good service to
Yeah.
get stuff to
Google,
people.
the infrastructure behind it will be fine. Google will be fine, and I think we will see the technological gains of Stadia appear elsewhere.
Yeah.
But it will not be in a branded Google Stadia format.
Do you know that is it like a Google app where like on your web browser you hit the like little dots of Google Chrome and then it drops down, it's like mail, stocks, sheets, and you're
Stadia.
like Stadia? Is that how it worked?
I don't think it worked exactly like that.
Okay.
But the idea was you would type something into the web browser on Google Chrome, same as you would anything else, and you would get a Stadia app and then click on your games from there, and it would boom just work.
It's kind of cool.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all of it's cool and it's all functional. It just wasn't delivered correctly.
Yeah, there wasn't enough clout behind it.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Like imagine if this launched with every game that was coming out. Like if this came out and then like in every 2019 third-party game is also coming to Stadia,
Yeah.
day and date. And you're like,
No, yeah.
that's pretty good.
Timing wise, I think it was too late.
Yeah.
Or
And
just,
then Competition wise, it's not there.
or a subscription service, or a whole bunch of live service
Subscription should
games
have been the way.
that a lot of people are still playing to this day.
Yeah.
It's just those kinds of things could have make this stay afloat, and they didn't happen, or if they did happen, they did it way late,
Yeah.
and then they pulled the plug too early. So
The modeling was off. I feel
Yeah.
like if they should have done subscription, and then they should have done like incentive. Your Google, you can like incentivize like Play Store stuff. Like you'll get some Play Store credits or something. And
Oh, yeah.
there should have been like something like what Amazon does for like Twitch, where
Mhm.
like they have Twitch Prime, and then you also get like with Amazon Prime, you'll get
A free subscription.
video. You get so much stuff. Like it's incredible. Like,
Yeah.
but with Stadia, it's just like use our platform, buy our games. That's it.
Games.
So,
And I do remember that when
like,
we first
no.
podcast about this, James, and it was the announcement of Stadia, and then it was like reading like, and games are $60, and you're like,
yeah, $60.
ooh.
Like,
I'm gonna go buy Rise of the Tomb Raider again for $60 on Stadia. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how long Google Stadia lasts, and what the next thing that we hear about. I'm sure we'll hear some new information and what game they were working on or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of our little. This is definitely a quicker conversation on Stadia, but that's okay because there wasn't a lot to grapple with. I want to know now, what have you guys been playing the last 2 weeks? Because we've had some time off, had some good gaming qualms, and I really want to hear from James because he actually told me what he's been playing, and it's the most played game on Steam right now.
Yes, and there's a reason why.
So tell me about it.
Because it's good.
And also remind me how to say the name because I'm going to screw it up.
Valheim.
Valheim.
That's the game. Valheim. And it's I would say it's like a Viking survival RPG. That's like the best way to describe it.
Multiplayer or single player?
Multiplayer.
Okay.
It's like Terraria where you host a server. You can have someone else host it, and then like 10 people get on the server.
Is this Daisy/Rust/
I would say it's more like
Vikings?
like Rust Minecraft, maybe like kind of like that. But more along Rust.
So give me the general premise of the game first. Like what are you doing?
So you spawn in basically, and you are given like the hand holding to like this is how you collect stuff.
Okay.
This is what you need to do. This is how you craft like your axe. This is the workbench, and it works kind of similar to Minecraft, where it's like you get rock and stone or something like that, or rust. But it takes it to the next level, which I would say is that it has it's procedurally generated worlds, so
Okay.
you can you can name your world seed anything if you want. That's cool. Your items stay with your character no matter where you go, so you can go to a different friend's world and you'll have your items on you and stuff. That's nice. So that's why I say it's like more RPG-esque.
So it's a multiplayer, but it's a single like world per people you invite. It's not like an open world with a bunch of random people.
No, so it's like you can have it private and have it 10 people, or you can have it like join a public.
Yeah.
But it's the world is huge. It's like a continent. Oh no, that's actually it's like a world. You know,
Okay.
you can go to travel to different continents, like crossing stuff, building like a boat, and you need to because this game has something great where Minecraft has like the Ender Dragon, like that's your final boss. That's it. This game has 5 bosses, like 5 bosses that you have to like find out information for and go to like that continent or that area and fight them, and they're tough and they're pretty good. And this game is early access, so it's pretty well polished. Like I haven't encountered any bugs.
Every survival game is early access. That's just a fact.
I guess, yeah. But it's well polished. $20. The one downside to the game, which I don't think hinders it at all, is that it looks awful.
Yeah, I've seen the videos.
The graphics are awful. It's like someone made this in 2004. Yeah. It is just not good. But good looking game, doesn't need to be. It's not necessarily a good game.
Yeah,
like there's plenty of bad looking games that are good looking games that are bad. But this one, you get used to it, and everything works like how it should, like how you craft, like using a stone to like cut down a tree, stuff like that. The tree can follow you and kill you, which has happened to me. So that's kind of fun.
When you die, do you lose all your items and like make it roll a new character? Or
it's similar to Minecraft where you can go back to your body and pick up your items, stuff like that. So I'm trying to think what else. But why it's so fun and addicting is because there's a good like progression.
Okay.
And crafting, like, okay, you need this to do this. You need this to do this. You need to like beat this, get this item to kill this boss, or like that. And so everyone's like working together to like craft like a base and get material, and so that's very similar to Rust, I would say. But like there's like bosses, so the PvE aspect of this game is really
so I have 2 questions. What is there? Are there enemies in the world to fight? I'm assuming.
Yes, there's plenty of like enemy mobs. Like there's skeletons.
PvE,
there's like
fantasy stuff.
Big ogres.
Yep. Yeah, there's things called creepers. They're pretty cool too. They blow up and they get.
There's nothing that blows. Like but
it's like a carbon copy of Minecraft.
Second question.
It's not completely dead.
The biggest problem I have with all 3D survival early access games is they all look and feel clunky as hell.
Yeah.
All of the building just feels off. Everything is placed weirdly because polygons don't mesh correctly.
This lines up pretty well.
Does it feel good?
Yeah, it lines up pretty.
Stuff feel good? Does swinging a sword feel good?
building. It reminds me of like Fallout 4 building, which is kind of interesting.
That was bad, James.
That was good building actually. It doesn't. It looks
Fallout
bad.
4 was so janky. That's exactly
it
what I'm talking
attached
about.
correctly.
Yeah, they did.
And
They
you're-
did have
you're-
the
so-
system where it would click in. They did have.
Yeah,
that.
yeah, they did have that.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So
And then you
um,
look underneath and it was all just hovering an
Yeah,
inch
they
above the
had that
ground
too.
because one little bit was uneven.
Hey,
Yeah.
you guys.
I would say it doesn't look good.
It was the first Bethesda game with any glitches and anything. Okay, just be respectful. They had one game that had a lot of glitches. Okay.
To be fair, I spent a lot of time in the Fallout 4 builder, so
I never built the Fallout 4.
I
I built
I
the
lived
Fallout
with
76
Ted when he
plenty
did
of times though, because you have to build for your store Fallout 76 and like have people like come in and like buy from it. It's a great game. You guys should check it out. It's free on Game Pass. Anyways, so, oh, you know what? I'm gonna make you guys play that. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that next episode.
Okay.
Fuck that.
Anyways, so yeah, Valheim. It is like kind of jank for building, but I like what they do with weather. Your building is like if you make it out of wood, it'll over time deteriorate. So you have to like keep like replenishing the top and the roof, and
That's cool.
that is a neat aspect to it. There's just like fun stuff to do in the world, and the way it's like procedurally generated, like nothing looks the same, but it still looks like kind of like, oh, great, you walk out and you see like a good ocean and stuff, and it's still beautiful. The starting area is always the same though. Like you'll always go through the same routine like when you start, which I think they need to fix
Okay.
because you're gonna be someone who's like a veteran at this game. And it's like every single time I have to go like talk to this crow and go over here, go. So
okay,
I think if
see.
you're a new character or a new player, or like turn off the tooltips, that's what they need to add. But
Turn off the tutorial.
Yeah.
Can I
it is addicting. There's a reason why it's sold so many, and people like it. It's
copies.
easy, and people like these like RPG survival games.
So you said it's so. I want to ask a few questions. Is it like original Minecraft when it came on the PC, where like you don't know the recipes and you're like sharing them with your friends? Okay, you do.
Yeah, you will go and like, so when you talk to this crow and get your hand holding done,
What's
it'll
the
like
crow's
just
name?
tell you, it's like, okay, you unlocked crafting like an axe, crafting like that, and you open up your menu like you would do in Minecraft, but on the right it would show you exactly what you need to craft that item.
Okay.
So it'd be like six wood, 6 stone, boom, you got an axe. So
Okay.
that's easy. Whereas like before Minecraft Day, you wouldn't know. You'd have to like
Look it
put
up.
your
Yeah.
yeah. So no, you don't look up anything, but you would have to like look up like, okay, what would I need further along if you didn't have it.
And then
So
what
you
is
like
what are the survival elements of it? Like, do you need to eat and do you need to do like all of that kind of?
Okay, yeah. So most like the survival like DayZ, you need to like eat and drink all the time.
Yeah.
This game, your eating applies to your health. So if you have 3 different types of food, you can get like max health. And so if you keep eating, it'll replenish like bars on your health, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get it further along and have like 3 items,
yeah,
food items, it'll tick your health all the way up to like 100.
Yeah,
Okay.
Stronghold did that. There was a thing in kind of medieval games where the more variety of food you had, the
Yeah.
stronger you would be.
So you only need 3 like different types of foods, and then there's no drinking aspect, but there is like a weather aspect.
There's no
where,
drinking in a Viking game?
I mean, there's no drinking to like quench your stuff. You just need to get
okay.
food.
Okay,
for
that
help,
happens
but
out of the game, in the person.
Yeah.
nighttime you will get cold, and if you get wet and cold, like your health will deteriorate all the time. So there are those
That's kind of cool.
elements.
That
And
is
you'll
cool.
lose
Yeah,
stamina, and there's like a stamina bar and stuff.
Yeah, I like the idea what you're saying about like your house started to deteriorate the more like weather
Yep.
damage that happens. So I think that's really cool.
And
And
anything you do like progresses you. Like you'll have like you gain leveling and crafting by hitting this wood. Like so it's
It's
kind
like
of cool
Skyrim.
like to level up your character.
Yeah, it
to
sounds
fight these
very
bosses.
Bethesda game inspired, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That sounds
No.
really neat.
I think it's worth the $20. Like, and I really hate early access because
Yeah.
it's like I want to play the game finished, and I'm really glad I played Hades when it was finished. And same with Risk of Rain 2. But I don't think if I played like Hades earlier, it would have been bad.
right.
Yeah.
But this game, it's like almost done. I feel like there's like
Yep.
very little they could add except for like special like mobs, and the
Who's the-
foundation is there.
Is there like a timeline and like a roadmap for this to get out of early access, or is it?
I haven't checked,
Okay.
but this is almost like they were finished with this game and they just wanted to early access it just to get up the last little or get the feedback. That's what
Yeah.
I would do. Like
That's smart.
early access my game, be like, okay,
Mhm.
what do you guys want in this? And it's like, okay, you want this mob or you want this boss to be helped? Like,
Yeah.
you just do tuning. That's what
Yeah.
I feel it's at.
Early access is sweet.
Yeah, but
Hades
20
wasn't
bucks?
as bad as good.
Yeah, 10 friends or 10 people in a server.
Oh, 10 people on a server. Okay. But then you can join public ones, and then like will people attack you and stuff? Like,
I haven't joined a public one, but
Okay.
from what I've like heard from other people, it's like you don't want to, because the world is always going if it's like hosted. So you will miss out on so much stuff because it progresses on days. So you'll
Okay.
go in and be like, okay, this person killed this boss, so you just missed out on that XP or that. So I would
Okay.
say you don't want to join a public one.
Makes
You
sense.
you should make like a private, make your own. But you can have it so like your character has all those levels, has all those items, and it goes to any world you want, like Terraria.
That's cool.
So you can have like separate characters to be like, okay, this is my like, lower level character, but it'll play with friends, or this is my high character that I want to kill all the bosses with.
Do you see yourself playing a lot of this game?
It's a big grind. Like
Yeah.
you need. I have friends with 30 hours and like nowhere near killing like all bosses, and some have stopped because there's no point in killing the last boss because they feel like there's going to be more progression after this.
Right.
So they're just like, sedentary grinding to prep.
It reminds me of when I was playing Hades in early access, and you'd beat a boss, and then when they would be like, "Okay, so now imagine that there's more of this game, but we're gonna send you back to the beginning." Like,
that's why I feel like this game's gonna have more end game. That's all they're working on. I was like, okay, what do we do for the end game? So
very cool.
it's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I'll have to check it out.
Just looks bad. Ignore the graphics, just like Minecraft.
Ted, what have
Minecraft is a
you
beautiful
been
game.
playing?
I think. So I have jumped back into Star Wars: A Battlefront 2.
Yes,
I have played not a lot of it, but some of it.
Yeah.
That game is, first of all, beautiful.
Mhm.
that is a beautiful game.
That is a showcase in giant multiplayer combat games in a way that my childhood me is just going nuts. Both because it's Star Wars, but also because this is how, I pictured the future of video games were when I played
Battlefront 2.
Battlefield 2.
Yeah.
And some of the older kind of large multiplayer scale games. That game is super cool. And I'm really excited that everything's unlocked for me. And the whole debacle. I actually think that, and I'll talk about this some other time, but Battlefront 2 might be one of the most important games ever because it's very good and the payment system at the beginning was such trash that it really redefined.
It made people stop
loot
doing
boxes
loot
are.
boxes. Yeah. I mean, it really scared people with loot boxes.
Yeah. And, you could tell there was a lot of love put into that game that was then put into randomized boxes for you to get. But that game is super fun.
Yeah. I mean, we played it recently. Yeah, so I played it at launch, and I played the campaign. I mean, I'm a Star Wars shill, so I'll play almost any Star Wars game. I played it at launch, played the campaign, it sucked. Multiplayer was so impacted by loot boxes, and there wasn't a lot of content. They really have added tons of DLC to this game. Where it was a few maps, and it was just the Rebellion era, nothing of Resistance or Republic. And so going back to it now, when it was free on Epic. Going back and having everything unlocked, all these different costumes for your heroes and
it's
clones.
A little bit overwhelming. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I was like, there's so much ahead.
And it's. I don't think it's a very well balanced game.
No.
I
was going to say this.
It feels like it could be a game that heroes are countered by this, and specific types of characters are countered by this and that. And it's just not. Yeah. And it's just, if you see a tank, just everybody shoot at it. And there isn't a dedicated anti-tank guy. Yeah. So that part's kind of silly and dumb, but boy,
it's fun.
It's a fun romp to just, I don't really care about my score. We're just going to goof off and have a fun
time. It's got
one
crucial fucking problem. Every game lasts like an hour.
Oh yeah, the game time is.
And I'm
crazy.
I want to play on different planets or as different eras, and I'm stuck playing as battle droids for an hour because we keep going up to the ship and losing, and so we gotta go back to the ship. I'm like,
I really appreciate that. Harkens back to kind of a different era of large multiplayer games that were staged like that, where it was okay, now we're going to do this. There's a huge tug of war. Games are supposed to last an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's really cool, but it definitely drags on this idea that if you can't, so for people who don't know, it's a battlefield style of 5 capture points. That's their main supremacy or conquest.
And there's 20 people per team?
20 people per side. Yeah. And it's 5 capture points. If you control a majority, your ticker goes up faster than the opponents. And then when that is done, in Battlefield they call it conquest. But when that is done in Battlefield, it's over.
Yeah.
In Star Wars, in Battlefront, you then go into this.
You go to another.
That's not even the fucking start of it. That's just the prelims.
Yeah, that's just not even the half of it. And then there's stuff you could do in those modes that decrease how long or how your health or stuff like that. It's you fight for.
So yeah, you go up into the
capture
ship
the
and do
points.
attack and defend.
Yeah.
And then if that doesn't work, which it usually doesn't, because it's
Yeah.
you go back
never
down
works.
and you do the whole 5 conquest points thing again, and just back and forth, and it takes so long.
We played.
Yeah.
I actually really like it.
We played on that one Felucia map, which is like the big colorful trees. For like, we went up to the ship 3 separate times.
Yeah, I think.
And
we
they
played
never
that.
went to our ship, and it was like an hour and some change.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
That's-
want
and
to be
that
on
is-
different places.
Yeah, this is it's a strange game. And this is kind of when I talk about balance. I play that game. That game is nothing but cool Star Wars set pieces, which turned out are mostly hallways.
Yeah.
And the time to kill is so low that it is just a game about staring down a long corridor-esque thing, either in a spaceship
Yeah.
or in a town in Tatooine, and just shooting your gun off and just getting 4, 5, 6, 7 kills. The thing that makes Battlefield such a cool game is in
Battlefront?
between the capture points. No, Battlefield,
Oh, okay.
the kind of style it's based on, is open fields.
Mm-hmm.
Is areas of space between tight conflict that lets you kind of like chill out, walk around, maybe get into a vehicle. Star Wars has none of that, and it is just
Fight
inner
right away.
city urban fighting constantly. Which
Yeah,
again,
there's like a couple maps that are like open, but then those ones suck.
Yeah.
Because just
Yeah.
like
You're
you're
just
just gonna
getting
get
sniped
picked off.
constantly.
yeah, you're
yeah,
getting picked
exactly.
off right away.
There are a lot of gameplay issues, but the overall gist of it is just good fun.
Yeah.
And they nail every aspect of, if you've watched the prequel movies, kind of the Star Wars battles.
Mm-hmm.
They just nail it so well, and it feels so fun, and you feel like a clone trooper on Geonosis. You
It's
do.
dope.
It works.
There was the thing I think that is cool about Battlefront 2, and we won't spend an hour and a half on this game, but I think it's really fun that, dude, you got Star Wars sounds. Anytime you can use Star Wars sounds like well in a multiplayer game, it's awesome. With like the music swells and like the just all the little dings and like droids running through. I'm like, it feels really Star Wars-esque that I want to be here for X amount of time. But I also do want to see other planets because that's what Star Wars is. So I don't want to be stuck on Felucia for an hour and a half. So like that does get a little annoying, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I have been playing currently. That game's a lot of fun. It was free on Epic, which was a great last spark of life into that game.
Yep. It's also it's only like $20. Like it's still not expensive.
It's 40.
Oh, what?
Yeah, my roommates are trying to get in who didn't get in on the free,
Oh.
and it is a $40 game.
Hey,
Yeah, people
let's
should go free.
play that game soon, Ted.
Yeah, I'm down. We were
let's
playing
play
it last night.
I know, I couldn't join. Sorry.
Yeah.
Had a whole thing going on.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. I was watching Point Break with Maddie.
Point Break.
Yeah, fucking great movie. Watch Point Break. HBO Max. The only game I've been playing, and I'll spend like very little time on it because I want to wrap it up because we're recording another show. Is I played Control on PS5.
Nice.
And I haven't played the game since it launched on PS4, and it had a bunch of technical issues, even though it's still a great game. But there was a lot of slowdown because the PS4 couldn't really handle Control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That game on PS5.
Couldn't really control it.
Ba-dum-bum.
And that's all, folks.
See you guys. No, I just want to say the Ultimate Edition was free on PS Plus last month, or maybe it's this month.
Oh, I don't want to talk about this too long. Did you hear about this controversy?
Yes. Yeah.
They've been selling it for the past 2 months.
Yeah, they've
and
been letting
the
you
same
pre-order
time it's
it.
released, it also came out for free.
Yeah.
And you can't refund it.
Yeah. There's
They
been a
won't
whole
take
issues with it.
Yeah.
And like if you own the game on PS4 and bought all the DLC, you can't upgrade to the PS5 version.
Yeah.
With payment?
They're a small indie company. They need money. No, I got it for free, so I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just a really good. That game is freaking. First off, Control is phenomenal. Like that
It's a
game,
very beautiful game.
just in general, is so fun. I think the story is a little weak, but the world is insanely cool. And anytime you're in one of the rooms, it's the coolest thing in the world. And the controls and the variety of it is very cool. But what I want to say is that the technical problems are all gone, and the game has ray tracing on PS5, runs at 60, and it's like almost 4K. So it just looks insane at all times.
Yeah.
Like
Nice.
you walk down these hallways with like the red lighting, and you're like, this is just epic. So
Yeah, that game was so beautiful when I played it. It
Yeah.
just functioned. I didn't have any bugs when I was
Striking.
playing it though.
yeah, because you're playing on PC, right?
It was just PlayStation.
PlayStation just
handle
couldn't
stuff.
run at certain points. Like
Yeah.
you throw
I mean,
something.
it was pretty like. Even now, it's probably like still like way up there in terms of like capability
Yeah,
and graphics.
because the particle effects, like you'd throw something in a break,
Yeah,
and then like
everything,
whole,
yeah.
I remember like you'd throw something at one of the guys, and like stuff would shatter, and the whole game would like stop moving, and then like basically reset, where like everything was gone, and you were fighting again. You're like, okay, okay. So it doesn't do that anymore, and it's freaking awesome. I can't wait for Control 2. I've played all the DLC. I think it's really good. Like I said, I think the story is a little short almost. Like it's a game that I wish went a little longer, which is ironic in our gaming world now where everything goes on for too long. But I really recommend it if you have a PS5, pick it up because it's awesome.
Free.
And it's free. Unless you bought it originally and then you're screwed.
Yeah,
ladies,
man.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the Sidescape Gaming Podcast. If you like this, please like, subscribe, comment. We're almost to 100 subs. And tell your mom, because maybe we could get your mom to sub, and then that'd be great too.
Yeah, she'd be 100.
She could be number 100. Your mom could be our 100th. We will see you next week.